The gavel cracks like a gunshot, but the room's already choking on silence. Judge Marcus Kane, the only black man in a sea of accusing eyes, stares down at the defendant and feels his heart betray him. She's there, in chains, her once bright eyes dulled by fear. Lena Harper, the girl who taught him to dream under the sycamore tree, now stands accused of a crime so heinous it's torn their small town apart. Murder, arson, hate. The charges burn hotter than the fire they say she set, and Marcus, the man who swore to uphold justice, can't shake the memory of her laughter from 20 years ago. The courtroom hums with whispers, a venomous chorus of neighbors and strangers ready to see her burn. They don't see Lena. They see a symbol, a scapegoat for their rage, their fear of the other. And Marcus? He's the black judge who's supposed to deliver their verdict. But every fiber of his being screams this is wrong. The town of Willow Creek hasn't changed much since Marcus and Lena were kids. Same dusty streets, same small minds. Back then, they were inseparable two outcasts in a world that didn't want them. Marcus, the black kid with a drunk for a father, and Lena, the half-Latino girl whose family was always those people to the town's elite. They found solace in each other, sneaking off to the creek to dream of a world where they'd be free. They'd lie under the stars, promising to protect each other, no matter what. But life has a way of breaking promises. Marcus left for college, then law school, climbing the ladder to become the town's first black judge. Lena stayed, trapped in a cycle of poverty and prejudice, her dreams ground to dust. Now, fate's twisted them back together in the worst way possible. The prosecution's case is airtight, they say. Lena's accused of burning down the community center, a place that meant hope for the town's marginalized. Worse, they claim she killed a beloved local teacher, Mrs. Callahan, in the blaze. The evidence is damning. Her fingerprints on a gas can, her car seen near the scene, witnesses swearing they heard her threaten the town council days before. The town's majority white, wealthy, and powerful wants blood. They've painted Lena as a monster, a drifter who snapped under the weight of her resentment. She hated us. The prosecutor spits, pacing like a predator. She hated our values, our community, our way of life. The crowd nods, their faces twisted with righteous fury. Marcus grips the bench, his knuckles whitening. He knows Lena's heart. She couldn't do this. Could she? But doubt creeps in. The Lena he knew was fire and kindness, but years change people. He's seen it in himself. The boy who dreamed of justice now wrestles with compromises, the weight of a system that bends toward power. What if Lena's changed too? What if the town's hatred pushed her to a breaking point? The thought makes his chest ache, but he can't let it show. Not here, not now. The courtroom's eyes are on him, waiting for a crack in his armor. To them, he's not just Marcus Kane, judge. He's the black judge, the one they whisper about, the one they'll never fully trust. Every ruling he makes is a tightrope walk between justice and survival. The trial's first day is a storm. The prosecutor, a slick lawyer named Vernon Hayes, lays out the case with theatrical precision. He paints Lena as a ticking bomb, a woman scorned by society and driven to vengeance. This wasn't just a crime, Hayes declares, pointing at Lena. This was a declaration of war. The crowd murmurs, feeding off his words. Marcus glances at Lena, who sits rigid, her hands clasped tightly. She hasn't looked at him once, not since the trial began. Does she know it's him up here? Does she remember their promise? He wants to scream her name, to demand answers, but he's trapped behind the bench, bound by duty. The defense attorney, a young public defender named Sarah Patel, fights back but struggles. She's outmatched, underfunded, and visibly nervous. There's no direct evidence tying Lena Harper to the fire, she argues, her voice shaking. This is a rush to judgment, fueled by prejudice. The crowd boos, and Marcus bangs the gavel, his heart pounding. He knows Sarah's right. Willow Creek has a history of scapegoating anyone who doesn't fit its mold. But the evidence is heavy, and the town's anger heavier. Sarah calls a witness, an old friend of Lena's named Javier, who swears she was with him the night of the fire. But Javier's a known troublemaker, and Hayes tears him apart on cross-examination, leaving the jury smirking. As the day ends, Marcus retreats to his chambers, the weight of the trial pressing down. He stares at an old photo on his desk, a faded Polaroid of him and Lena, 12 years old, grinning by the creek. He can still hear her voice, soft and fierce. "We'll show them, Marcus. We'll be bigger than this town." He was supposed to protect her. Instead, he's the one holding her fate. The town's hatred isn't just for Lena, it's for him, too. They'll watch his every move, waiting for him to falter, to prove he's one of them. But Marcus knows the truth. Justice in Willow Creek has always been a game of who you know, who you look like, who you aren't. Night falls and Marcus can't sleep. He drives to the creek, the place where he and Lena used to escape. The sycamore's still there, older and gnarled, but standing. He sits beneath it, the cold ground biting through his suit. Memories flood back. Lena's laughter, her hand in his, the way she'd talk about painting the world with colors no one else could see. She was an artist, not a murderer. But the evidence gnaws at him. The gas can, the witnesses, the town's certainty. He wants to believe her, but belief isn't enough in a courtroom. He needs proof, and he needs it fast. The next day, the trial intensifies. Hayes calls a key witness, Mrs. Callahan's son, Ethan, a local football hero with a chip on his shoulder. Ethan's testimony is a gut punch. He claims Lena confronted his mother days before the fire, accusing her of spreading lies about Lena's family. She said she'd make her pay. Ethan says, his voice breaking with rehearsed grief. The jury leans forward, eating it up. Marcus watches Lena, searching for a reaction. But she's a statue, her face unreadable. Sarah objects, calling the testimony hearsay, but Marcus overrules her. His voice steady despite the storm inside. He has to play this straight, no matter how much it hurts. Sarah's cross-examination of Ethan is shaky but revealing. She presses him on details, and he stumbles, unable to recall exactly when or where the confrontation happened. A flicker of hope sparks in Marcus's chest, but it's short-lived. Hayes redirects and Ethan doubles down, painting Lena as a vengeful loner. The jury's faces harden, and Marcus feels the room tipping against her. He adjourns for lunch, his mind racing. He needs to talk to Lena to hear her side, but judges don't get to play detective. Still, the boy in him, the one who loved her, won't let go. In the hallway, Marcus overhears two jurors whispering. "She's guilty," one says. "You can see it in her eyes." The other nods. "And that judgie's too soft on her kind." The words hit like a slap. Her kind. His kind. The town's prejudice is a living thing, coiled around this trial, squeezing tighter with every testimony. Marcus knows he can't let it sway him, but it's there, in every glance, every whisper. He's not just judging Lena, he's judging the soul of Willow Creek. Back in court, Sarah calls Lena to the stand. The room holds its breath. Lena rises, her chains clinking, and finally looks at Marcus. Her eyes are a storm of pain and defiance, and for a moment, he's 12 again, promising her the world. She swears to tell the truth, her voice low but steady. Sarah asks why she was at the community center that night. Lena's answer is simple. "I was trying to save it." The crowd erupts, and Marcus slams the gavel, his heart racing. Save it? From what? Lena explained she'd heard rumors of a plan to shut the center down, to replace it with condos for the wealthy. She went to confront Mrs. Callahan, not to hurt her, but to plead for the center's survival. Hayes pounces, twisting her words. So you admit you were there, angry, ready to fight? Lena's voice cracks. I was angry, but I didn't kill her. I didn't start that fire. The jury shifts, unconvinced. Marcus wants to believe her, but the evidence is a wall between them. He watches her step down, her shoulders slumped, and feels the weight of his robe like never before. This isn't just a trial, it's a reckoning. As the day ends, a new witness emerges, one nobody expected. A janitor from the community center, a quiet man named Mr. Ellis, claims he saw someone else near the building that night, someone who wasn't Lena. The courtroom buzzes, and Marcus's pulse quickens. Could this be the break they need? But Ellis is nervous, his story vague, and Hayes is already preparing to shred him. Marcus knows the truth is out there, buried under layers of lies and hate, but time's running out. Lena's life and his own soul hang in the balance. The courtroom's air grows thicker as Mr. Ellis takes the stand, his hands trembling under the weight of every eye in the room. Marcus Kane, perched at the judge's bench, feels his pulse hammer in his ears. This janitor, a man who's spent decades invisible to Willow Creek's elite, might hold the key to Lena's fate. But Marcus knows the town too well. Truth doesn't always survive the stand. The crowd leans forward, a mix of skepticism and curiosity, as Sarah Patel, the young defense attorney, begins her questioning. Mr. Ellis, Sarah says, her voice steadier now. You said you saw someone else near the community center the night of the fire. Can you describe them? Ellis clears his throat, his eyes darting to Lena, then to Marcus. It was dark, he starts. But I saw a man tall wearing a dark jacket. He was near the back entrance, carrying something, maybe a bag. It wasn't Miss Harper. The room buzzes, whispers rippling like wildfire. Marcus bangs the gavel, silencing them, but his mind races. A man? Not Lena? This could change everything. Vernon Hayes, the prosecutor, rises with a predator's grin. He's built his career on tearing down witnesses like Ellis, and Marcus knows the janitor's in for a slaughter. Hayes paces, his voice dripping with condescension. Mr. Ellis, you've worked at the center for 20 years, correct? Ever had trouble with your eyesight? Or, say, a drinking problem? The crowd snickers and Ellis flinches. No, sir, he mutters, but his voice wavers. Hayes presses harder, questioning the lighting, the distance, even Ellis's memory. By the time he's done, Ellis looks like a man who regrets ever speaking up. The jury's faces, once curious, now mirror Hayes's smirk. Marcus grips the bench, his jaw tight. He wants to intervene to protect Ellis's story, but he can't. Not without tipping the scales. Sarah fights back, redirecting Ellis to clarify his account, but the damage is done. The jury's doubt is palpable, and Lena's face remains a mask, her eyes fixed on the floor. Marcus adjourns for the day, the weight of the trial heavier than ever. In his chambers, he paces, the Polaroid of him and Lena burning a hole in his thoughts. He's supposed to be impartial, but every instinct screams that Ellis is telling the truth. Someone else was there, someone the town doesn't want to see. That night, Marcus breaks protocol. He can't sit idle while Lena's life hangs by a thread. He drives to the community center's ruins, the charred skeleton of a building that once held hope. The air smells of ash and memory. He walks the perimeter, flashlight in hand, searching for anything the police might have missed. Near the back entrance, where Ellis claimed to see the mystery man, Marcus spots something glinting in the dirt, a metal keychain. half buried, engraved with the initials TC. His heart skips. It's not much, but it's something. He pockets it, knowing he's crossing a line, but the boy who loved Lena doesn't care about rules right now. The next morning, the trial resumes with a surprise. Sarah calls a new witness, a teenage girl named Mia, who worked part-time at the center. Mia's nervous, her voice barely above a whisper, but her story is explosive. She claims she overheard a conversation between Mrs. Callahan and a man named Thomas Crane, Willow Creek's golden boy, a real estate developer with deep pockets and deeper influence. He was mad, Mia says, twisting her hands, said the center was in the way of his plans. Mrs. Callahan told him to back off, that she'd expose him. The crowd gasps, and Marcus's mind locks onto the keychain. T.C. Thomas Crane. Hayes objects, calling Mia's testimony irrelevant, but Marcus allows it, his voice calm but his heart racing. The jury's listening now, their certainty shaken. Sarah pushes Mia to elaborate, and the girl reveals Crane had been pressuring the town council to sell the center's land for months. Lena, Mia says, was trying to rally the community to save it. Marcus glances at Lena, who finally meets his eyes. There's a spark there, the old fire, and for a moment he believes her completely. But Hayes is relentless. He paints Mia as a troubled teen, desperate for attention, and questions why she didn't come forward sooner. Mia crumbles, tears streaming, and the jury's sympathy wanes. Marcus wants to scream at them to listen, to see the truth, but he's trapped behind the bench, his robe a cage. As the day ends, Sarah pulls Marcus aside in the hallway, her voice low. I think Crane's involved, Judge. But we need more. Someone's hiding something. Marcus nods, the keychain burning a hole in his pocket. He knows he should turn it over, but to whom? The police? The same force that rushed to pin this on Lena? That night, Marcus visits Lena's mother, Rosa, a woman worn down by years of struggle. Rosa's eyes light up when she sees him, but the pain is raw. She didn't do it, Marcus, Rosa says, clutching his hand. She was trying to save that center, not burn it. Rosa reveals Lena had been digging into Crane's deals, uncovering shady permits and bribes. She'd planned to confront Mrs. Callahan, not to hurt her, but to warn her about Crane's threats. Marcus's mind races. The keychain, Ascot, the fire, Lena's fight. It's all connected. The next day, Marcus makes a decision. He slips the keychain to Sarah anonymously, knowing it could lead to Crane. Sarah introduces it as evidence, claiming it was found near the center, and the courtroom explodes. Hayes fights to suppress it, arguing chain of custody, but Marcus allows it, his voice steady despite the risk. The jury's doubt grows, and Sarah calls Crane to the stand. He's polished, confident, but his answers are too smooth, his alibi shaky. Under Sarah's relentless questioning, Crane slips, admitting he was near the center that night supposedly for a business meeting. The crowd murmurs, and Marcus feels the tide turning. The trial's final days are a pressure cooker. Sarah builds a case that Crane set the fire to frame Lena, eliminating both the center and her as a threat to his plans. Witnesses come forward, corroborating pieces of the story: a gas station clerk who saw Crane buying fuel, a neighbor who heard him arguing with Mrs. Callahan. Hayes counters, painting Lena as the mastermind, but his case is unraveling. The jury deliberates for hours, and Marcus waits, his heart in his throat. He knows the town's watching, ready to judge him as much as Lena. The verdict comes at dusk. Not guilty. The courtroom erupts, some cheering, others hissing. Lena's eyes find Marcus, and for the first time, she smiles, a small, broken thing, but real. Marcus feels the boy inside him exhale, but the man knows this isn't the end. Crane's influence runs deep, and the town's prejudice deeper. Lena's free, but the scars of Willow Creek's hatred will linger. As Lena walks out, she pauses by Marcus's bench. "Thank you," she whispers, and he knows she sees the boy he was, not just the judge. He wants to say more, to apologize for the years apart, but words fail. She's gone before he can try. The case exposes Willow Creek's rot racism, greed, fear of the other. Crane faces charges, but the town's soul is still on trial. Marcus stays at the bench, knowing justice is a fight, not a destination. He keeps the Polaroid, a reminder of the promises he's yet to keep. What's right? What's just? When a community's built on division, who pays the price? Share your thoughts. Where does the line between justice and vengeance lie?